My husband told me to trust him when I saw flirty messages from his assistant. He said, "She's just young and immature. It means nothing." But one day, I noticed his shirt smelled like a different perfume. I planted a small tracker in his briefcase. What I saw 2 days later, him and her checking into a spa together. I waited until their weekend was over, then had the locks changed, accounts separated, and the affair footage sent to his company's HR. When he got back, everything he built was already gone. Hi Reddit. I'm not the type to share private things online, but I need to get this out. Maybe someone will read this and feel less alone. Maybe someone else will see the red flags sooner than I did. I'm 38. My name's Rachel. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. Been married for 12 years to a man named Nate. He's 41. No kids, just the two of us, a couple of dogs, and what I thought was a decent life. Quiet, stable. We'd built it all together from scratch. I thought we were partners. I thought I knew him. I didn't. This started about 3 months ago. I was folding laundry in the living room. Nate was in the shower. His phone lit up on the kitchen counter. I glanced over without thinking. A text popped up. "Tessa, you're bad." Tessa was his assistant. 24. I'd met her a few times. Seemed bubbly, maybe a little too flirty, but Nate had always brushed it off. I walked to his phone. My heart was already pounding. I swiped up and saw more messages. Flirty emojis. Giggly nonsense. Then one that hit me like a truck. "Tessa, I can't wait for our next trip." I felt my legs go weak. My husband was in the next room, singing like nothing was wrong. When he came out of the shower, I held his phone in front of him. "What the hell is this?" He looked down, frowned like he didn't know what I meant. "Oh, come on, Rachel," he said, laughing a little. "She's just young. She's immature. That's just how she texts. It's harmless." Harmless. I repeated. "You're going on trips with her?" "It's work stuff," he said quickly. "You know how many last-minute things pop up. She comes along to take notes, keep me organized. Then why is she sending you kiss emojis?" "She's just dumb," he said, shrugging. "Trust me." I should have thrown something at him right there. But I didn't. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe he wouldn't lie straight to my face like that. But the seed was planted, and it grew fast. About a week after that conversation, he came home late, said he was at a dinner meeting with a client. I asked who. He mumbled some names I didn't recognize. Salespeople from out of state, he claimed. When I hugged him hello, I caught it instantly. Perfume. Not mine. Not any I wore. Something floral. Light, but distinct. I leaned back. "You smell different." He blinked. "Do I?" "Perfume," I said flatly. He sniffed his collar and shrugged. "Maybe someone at the restaurant wore something strong. You know how that stuff lingers." But it wasn't lingering. It was fresh. Like he'd just gotten done rubbing up against someone. That night, I stared at the ceiling while he snored beside me. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed the truth. No more guessing. No more hoping he wasn't lying. I ordered a tiny GPS tracker online, small enough to fit inside the lining of his briefcase. It took 2 days to arrive. That morning, I waited until he left it by the door, like he always did. I slipped the tracker inside a side pocket between his files. He didn't notice. I told myself maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was overreacting. I checked the tracker that evening. Nothing weird. Just a route from the office to home. Then came Friday. Around noon, I opened the tracker app. He wasn't at work. He wasn't at lunch. He was 2 towns over, at a high-end spa resort. A place called Blue Creek Springs. Not a place you go for business. I sat in the car for 20 minutes. I told myself I'd drive over, and it'd all make sense somehow. It didn't. I got there just in time to see them. Nate and Tessa, walking out of the building in robes. Laughing. Holding hands. My whole body went cold. I snapped a few pictures from the parking lot. My hands were shaking. I watched them walk to his car like they hadn't just destroyed my entire life. I didn't confront him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just drove home. I spent that entire weekend planning. He was gone until Sunday. Said it was a company retreat. Funny, the rest of his company didn't seem to be there. Saturday, I changed all the locks. Sunday morning, I opened a new checking account and transferred half of our joint savings. He wouldn't notice right away, not until his next golf lesson or a random splurge. Then I organized all the proof. I had screenshots of their messages, photos of them at the spa, location logs from the tracker. I even printed out the receipt he left in his coat pocket from a spa package for two, romantic renewal. I scanned and emailed the whole file to his company's HR department. No explanation needed. Just the subject line. Inappropriate conduct. Nate, last name, and assistant Tessa, last name. Then I waited. Sunday night, around 8 p.m., I heard his car pull into the driveway. He tried his key. Nothing. Then he knocked. Then he banged. I didn't answer. He called my phone. I let it ring. Then he texted. Why won't the door open? Rachel. What's going on? I finally opened the door just a crack. I didn't say anything. I just looked him straight in the face. His tan was darker than usual. Spa glow, I guess. Hey, what's going on? He asked, looking genuinely confused, like he didn't just cheat all weekend. You should check your email, I said. He blinked. What? Check your email. Then I shut the door. I watched from the front window as he sat in his car, face glowing blue from his screen. I saw the moment it hit him. The long pause. The jaw tightening. The way he dropped his phone into his lap, like it was hot. An hour later, I got more messages. Desperate ones. Rachel, please, can we talk? This is not what you think. You sent this to HR? Are you trying to ruin me? Then finally, you don't understand what this will do. I didn't answer. I poured a glass of wine, sat on the couch, and watched a movie. I slept better than I had in weeks. The next morning, he came by again. He knocked once, then left. That afternoon, I got a call from his sister. I hadn't spoken to her in a while, but we were always civil. Rachel, what is going on? She asked. Nate just called me sobbing. I've never seen him like this. I told her the short version. The messages. The spa. The lies. There was a long pause. Then she said something I didn't expect. I knew something was off. What? He told me he was going on a company trip, she said. But when I asked if you were going too, he got weird. Changed the subject. So even his own family had doubts. By Wednesday, I heard from a mutual friend who worked in Nate's company's finance department. They suspended him, she whispered. HR is doing some kind of investigation. It's serious. He could get fired. That night, Nate finally stopped by again. This time, he waited outside until I opened the door. He looked terrible. Puffy eyes. Wrinkled shirt. Hair uncombed. Rachel, please. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. He looked at me like a stranger. You sent that to HR? He asked. You really did that? I nodded. I did. He swallowed. Do you know what this means? I built everything at that company. Everything. You built it with lies, I said coldly. His face twisted. She meant nothing. She meant enough for you to take her to spa, I snapped. Enough to sleep with her. Enough to lie to me. Repeatedly. He didn't deny it. Just stood there, like he was waiting for me to throw him a rope. I didn't. Friday, another message came through. This time from an unknown number. This is Tessa. I know what you did. I didn't reply. A minute later, another. You didn't have to ruin both our lives. You could have just left him. She really thought I'd just walk away and let her keep playing house with my husband? The next day, I got an email from someone in her department. Apparently, Tessa had been terminated on grounds of gross misconduct and violation of company ethics. Someone mentioned she might try to sue, but the evidence was airtight. But then something happened I didn't see coming. Nate's boss reached out to me. We'd met once at a company holiday party. He sent me a polite message. He said he wanted to thank me for bringing this to their attention, that what I did showed incredible restraint and strength. But he also dropped a bomb. I should let you know this wasn't the first time. I stared at the screen. He continued. There was another complaint 2 years ago. Another assistant. It was buried. But now HR is reopening that case too. That was when I realized this wasn't a one-time thing. This was who Nate really was. After that message from Nate's boss, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. This wasn't the first time. I felt sick. I thought I'd caught him in a one-time screw-up. Some midlife crisis. But no, he'd been doing this for longer. Probably while telling me he loved me. Probably while I planned our anniversary dinners or walked the dogs alone when he had to stay late. I started digging. I went through old emails, old credit card bills. I found a few weird charges going back 2 years. Hotels I didn't recognize. Restaurants in Denver, when he claimed he was in Boulder. There was one charge from a boutique hotel in Breckenridge. During the same weekend, I flew out to visit my sister in San Diego. I'd asked him if he wanted to come. He said he had too much work. I opened the hotel's website and stared at the room listing. Romance package, fireplace, champagne, couples massage. He'd used the same playbook. Different girl. I reached out to the only person I could think of who might know about the other assistant, an old coworker of his named Paul. We'd met at a few work functions. He was decent. I messaged him through LinkedIn. He responded within an hour. I asked if he knew anything about the other assistant, the one from 2 years ago. Paul hesitated at first. Then he wrote, I don't know everything, but yeah, there was someone. Her name was Brianna. She left the company fast. No explanation. But there were rumors. Rumors? That she was pressured into keeping quiet. NDA stuff. Nate got her a payout, I think. HR didn't pursue it. It got swept under. My stomach dropped. He'd done it before. And he'd gotten away with it. Until now. I hired a lawyer that week. Not just for the divorce. I wanted to know if Nate's hush money with the other assistant had legal holes. The lawyer asked for names, dates, and any evidence I had. I gave him everything. The hotel receipts. The screenshots. Paul's message. He said there was a good chance Nate had violated company policy and possibly committed fraud if any of the hotel stays were reimbursed as business expenses. A few days later, the lawyer called me back. You might want to sit down, he said. Turns out, Nate had put in reimbursement requests for at least 3 of the romantic trips. Called them client development outings. Labeled one as team building overnight. That meant corporate funds. That meant theft. I didn't have to report that part. My lawyer said to wait. But someone else beat me to it. That same friend in finance? She reached out again. Rachel, she wrote. Someone tipped off the audit team. They're reviewing all of Nate's expenses now. It's bad. Really bad. Within days, I heard through the grapevine, he was being investigated for misuse of company funds. Not just suspension, potential charges. The company was furious. They weren't just mad about the affair. They were mad. He made them comp the affair. That Friday night, Nate came again. He didn't knock. He just stood outside, staring up at the windows like a ghost. I watched him for a long time before I opened the door. He looked wrecked, like he hadn't slept in days. I need to talk to you, he said. I crossed my arms. Talk. They're coming after me, he said. They're saying I stole from the company. You did. He ignored that. Do you want me in jail? Is that what you want? I didn't answer. He stared at me, then said, it was never about her. Or the others. The others? I asked, even though I already knew. It was about feeling needed, he said. Respected. You stopped looking at me like I mattered. I let out a laugh. Cold and flat. I was too busy holding us together while you played office sugar daddy. He stepped forward like he was going to touch me. I stepped back. Then he said it, the one thing that made my blood run cold. There's more you don't know. What does that mean? I need to fix things before it all blows up. He walked away without explaining. And I stood there, heart pounding. wondering what the hell he meant by that. I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. There's more you don't know. That night, I barely slept. My thoughts spun in circles. What else could he have done? I already knew about the cheating, the lying, the company funds, the fake trips. What was left? I got my answer the next day. It came in the form of a letter, handwritten, from Brianna, the assistant from 2 years ago. She said she'd heard about what happened with Tessa and the HR fallout. She said someone from inside the company had told her Nate was being investigated. And then she thanked me. "Thank you for doing what I was too scared to do," she wrote. I was young. I thought it was my fault. I didn't even realize he'd done it before me. Then she told me something Nate had never mentioned. She'd gotten pregnant. And he paid her to leave. Paid her to disappear. But she'd never had the baby. She'd lost it. And still, Nate had her sign papers to keep quiet. I stared at the letter for a long time. I felt this deep, slow burn rise up in my chest. I wasn't just angry. I was ashamed. Ashamed that I ever defended him. Ashamed that I let myself believe him when he told me, "She's just young and dumb." I forwarded everything. The letter, the hotel receipts, the expense records. I sent it to his company's legal department, his CEO, their ethics board. I posted parts anonymously on a corporate whistleblower forum. I made sure everyone who ever trusted Nate saw who he really was. He wasn't just a bad husband. He was a predator, a liar, a man who used power to get what he wanted and then tried to wash it all away with charm. But I wasn't innocent either. I let things slide too long. I ignored my instincts. I let him gaslight me because it was easier than facing the truth. I gave him the rope. He tied the noose himself. Within a week, Nate was fired. The company put out a statement about serious ethical breaches and ongoing legal review. Tessa filed a complaint too, trying to play the victim now that the ship was sinking. But everyone knew the truth. Brianna came forward publicly. She didn't care about NDAs anymore. She posted her own story online. People rallied behind her. Nate was done. His name? Ruined in the industry. His job? Gone. His savings? Locked in legal fights and possible restitution claims. His face? Plastered across internal memos and HR trainings as a cautionary tale. And me? I was already gone. When the divorce papers came back finalized, I didn't celebrate. I just took the dogs, the house, and left the rest behind. Nate tried to fight for half, but with everything that had come out, the judge sided with me on almost everything. His lawyer could barely argue, without choking on the facts. He sent me one last message the night after the ruling, "Nate, you've destroyed me." I didn't reply, because the truth is, he destroyed himself. I just gave him the mirror. It's been 6 months. I've moved to a smaller house, still in Fort Collins. I'm not dating. I don't want to. Not yet. I walk my dogs every morning and every night. I sleep well now. No more fake meetings. No more perfume that isn't mine. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. I don't. Not the tracker. Not the locks. Not the email to HR. And if I could go back, I'd do it all again, maybe even sooner. Because when a man tells you to trust him, but everything inside you screams not to, listen to yourself, not him.